Get in, bitch. We're doing history. I'm the History Chick. On today's adventure, we're opening the archives of Asbury's Roaring Twenties and taking a look at Warren G. Harding, Nan Britton, and their illegitimate baby born right here in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Who is Warren G. Harding? Many of us know him as the president that ushered in the 1920s with a return to normalcy. However, his personal life was anything but normal. In fact, he was one of the most scandalous, salacious Lothario presidents, I would argue, of the 20th and 21st century. I guess I shouldn't say yet. Harding was a Republican. He was from Ohio. Prior to his career in the Senate, he was a newspaperman. And that's where the beginning of our story takes place. So who the hell is Nan Britton? Nan grew up in Ohio, which was Harding's home state. Her teacher was Harding's sister, and allegedly, according to her, from the time that she saw Warren, she was smitten as a kitten. In fact, she actually admits that she had posters plastered of him all over her bedroom wall, a la Teen Bop magazine or Tiger Beat magazine, if you're of my generation. And she kind of badgered Harding into helping her get a job, but ultimately it was Harding that saw a little bit more potential in Nan than maybe she would admit. So they carried on a 6.5-year-long affair, and they were all over the place with each other. So they would check into hotels with each other, they would check in under different residencies and different last names, and we know this to be true because the hotel registries check out to Nan's book, A President's Daughter, actually with her going back and forth with Harding. Supposedly, there are multiple reports that their daughter was conceived in the Raleigh Hotel. Other reports say that she was conceived in a closet in the Senate office, but regardless, this 6.5-year-long affair was nothing new to Harding. Nan was only one of many mistresses throughout the course of his life, and the letters that are on file at the Library of Congress are actually not Nan's. So Nan burns all of the letters that Warren writes her, even here while she's in Asbury Park, because she realizes the legalities of it. But it's Harding's other mistresses that keep some of the letters that are now on display at the Library of Congress, where you can learn about all of the nicknames that Harding would give various members of people's bodies, i.e. his own member being Jerry. So how did Nan end up here in Asbury Park, New Jersey, of all places? Well, funny you should ask. So Asbury was an up-and-coming resort town in the 1920s. She gives birth in October of 1919, just before Harding would win the election that November and then ultimately ascend to the presidency in March of 1920. So this was not the original place that Nan had in mind when she was pregnant with the president's daughter. In fact, she was staying in another location here in Asbury, but the cost was too high. It was $40 a week. But here at this boarding house, Nan could stay and give birth in that upstairs bedroom for only $23 a week. And so she does in October of 1919. So how did this get exposed, you ask? In 1927, 4 years after Harding's death, Nan publishes a book called The President's Daughter. And when this thing comes out, it sends shockwaves through the country. Now, by this time, Harding's reputation as a president was already tarnished. We have things like the Teapot Dome scandal, the way that he reversed a lot of progressive reforms, the way that he also placed immigration restrictions that were a wee bit racist in an effort to bring America back to normalcy of the 20s. And so as the 20s roared, Nan roared about her affair with the president. When this book comes out, she exposes Harding for the Lothario that he is, detailing every nook and cranny of their intimate relationship, including nicknames for his member, Jerry, where they think the baby was conceived, the White House closets, of course, or in the Senate office, depending on what report you read. And ultimately, she claims that her daughter, Elizabeth, is his legitimate child. Harding, we think, did have an inkling of knowing that his daughter was born, even though he actually never saw her, and that was partially because he was still sending child support payments after her birth, and he did so until his death in 1923. Now, Harding supposedly died of a stroke. Some say he died of a heart attack, stroke, some type of cardiac arrest due to all the stress that he was facing in office. However, the interesting part was that Mrs. Harding actually never had the body autopsied. So that led to all sorts of great rumors about his wife poisoning him and dying and so on and so forth. Nan writes the book because she wants anybody that has a child out of wedlock to be able to gain some type of financial compensation for it, or just to bring awareness to the fact that this was going on. So the story doesn't end there. Actually, there's a response by C.A. Clunk that writes a book in 1928 called An Answer to the President's Daughter, in which this book goes back saying that Nan is quite a bit of a harlot herself and should be not taken as seriously as she claims in her original tales. She actually goes on to sue for $50,000 libel. This court case gets so hot that the federal judge in Toledo, Ohio, actually dismisses anybody under the age of 21 from the courtroom because, well, you can't read smutty diary entries in front of a courtroom full of high schoolers that are interested about this trial. Needless to say, there's all sorts of debauchery that comes out with both books, exposing the president as somebody that was a harbinger of affairs, and also a woman that supposedly, through the grapevine, was having a bit of a nudie party every now and again. What happens to the baby? Interestingly enough, Nan's sister and brother-in-law adopted the baby. Harding did pay child support while he was alive. He secretly was slipping Nan money on the side because he, like the rest of America, would find out that, in the words of Maury Povich, he was the father. So ultimately, Elizabeth grows up. She lives a pretty normal life. Her address and her descendants are kind of kept somewhat hidden until most recently when, some people are interested in their DNA or ancestry and they find out more about it. And Elizabeth said that until her mother's dying breath, that Nan helplessly loved Warren G. Harding. So that's another tale out of our Asbury archives on Warren G. Harding, Nan Britton, and the illegitimate baby. If you like this salacious story and want to find out more about my adventures throughout New Jersey, the country, and digging a little bit deeper into history, like and subscribe to my channel. I'm the History Chick. Thanks for watching.